The BC government just announced that they'll no longer be funding one of the primary organizations behind the sexual orientation and gender identity teaching in our schools. Now, when this announcement was made, it made me ask two big questions. Number one, this organization known as the ARC Foundation, what are they teaching our kids? And number two, since this is coming from all of our taxes, how much money have we given to this organization? So today, I'm going to be bringing some receipts. We could go all the way back to 2016, but for the sake of time, we're going to be focusing on 2023 to 2026. I'm going to show you a little bit about the resources that they teach our kids in the school system today, and then I'm going to give you a breakdown year by year from the provincial and federal government in the funding they've received from our taxes. So let's start with some of the teaching. Issue number 1, gender fluidity and pronouns in kindergarten to grade 3. To quote the ARC Foundation, gender diverse books can help children appreciate the gender spectrum, fluidity, and the use of gender pronouns. Now, when we go through all these resources, I want you to ask one primary question. I want you to keep this in mind. We are all against bullying and in favor of kindness and respect. And the ARC Foundation on the outside tries to say that their entire purpose is really anti-bullying. But there's a difference between teaching children how to be kind and respectful versus indoctrinating them with woke ideology. So when we get into some of these receipts, ask that question. Is this really about anti-bullying or is this indoctrination? Issue number 2. The kids are getting a little bit older now. They're in grade 4 and 5. Biological sex versus gender identity. To quote the ARC Foundation on this module, this lesson will explore the difference between a person's biological sex and their gender identity. Everyone defines their own gender identity. And in this section, they get a little bit into puberty and the difference in sexuality and identity. Again, do we really need to be teaching young kids about this? Or is this woke indoctrination? Issue number 3, student gender confidentiality. To quote the ARC Foundation, students have a right to confidentiality concerning their official or preferred sex, gender, and name. So on this one, they talk about self-identification, confidentiality rights, and how the schools can actually keep this information completely confidential, even from the parents, and there are no requirements to disclose. So again, is this about anti-bullying or is this ideological indoctrination? Issue number 4, facilities and teams based on gender identity. To quote the ARC Foundation, individuals may choose to use washrooms and change rooms that match their gender identity. So again, on this one, they're going to have change rooms and washrooms that you can use any one that you like, depending on how you personally identify. And also in this section, they're teaching about how you can join whatever sports team you like. So you can be on the boys' sports team or the girls' sports team, regardless of your biological gender. This is in our schools. Issue number 5. Now in the previous issues, we've primarily been focused on some of the teaching. And I want to tell you guys this is just the tip of the iceberg. But in this last issue, before we move on to the receipts for funding, I want to talk to you about what they call their federally funded push to combat misinformation. To quote the ARC Foundation, misinformation about SOGI inclusive education is on the rise. We will develop tools to counter misinformation and disinformation and address ethno-specific resistance to SOGI education. This one here is one of the areas where they've received some of the largest federal grants. Over $1 million has been given from the federal government just to help the ARC Foundation counter what they call misinformation. Now, at the end of the day, a lot of you guys might think when it comes to gender and sexuality that it's just basic common sense and that really it should be up to parents. But I want to tell you this, there's a lot of money being spent to change your mind because you've believed what they call misinformation and disinformation. Now let's move on to some of this funding. We could go all the way back to 2016 and show you all the receipts, but for today, we're only looking at 2023 to 2026. So the federal funding that this organization received from your tax dollars was $1.395 million. And then when we take a look at the provincial side for that same year of 2023 to 2026, it was $936,000. And you can see on this a year-by-year breakdown. So the total amount of tax dollars that were given to the ARC Foundation from the provincial and federal government, and I'll remind you this, there are several smaller grants that are also given, but it comes to $2.31 million. Now here's the thing, sometimes when we're analyzing government budgets and spending, it becomes overwhelming. You're staring at the spreadsheet full of numbers and it starts to become confusing. But at the end of the day, we need to audit our government on where they're spending our money, because every day that you go to work and I go to work as Canadians, almost half of our paycheck is taken by the government and then it's spent on organizations just like this. And if you believe that when it comes to the hard-earned funds that you use, that you don't want it going towards indoctrinating the next generation, going far beyond anti-bullying and into this woke ideological teaching, then never vote for the federal Liberals again and never vote for the provincial NDP, because these are the projects that they champion. It's time for us to return to fiscal prudence and common sense policies and spending.